Inflation in the United States of America is at a 40-year high. According to a government report released on Wednesday, inflation, which is the rate at which prices rise, has hit 9.1% in the 12 months to June. This has been blamed on prices of petrol and food remaining high in recent months. Inflation will now be a top concern for many Americans and is likely to influence many voters in the coming midterm elections in November in the country. U.S. petrol prices hit record highs last month, averaging above $5 per dollar gallon. The latest data has led to predictions that the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank will hike interest rates once again later this month. Some experts believe that it is the central bank that can raise rate hike of possibly 100 basis points this month itself. The U.S. inflation rate is now at its highest level since November 1981. Having risen from 8.6% in May.
The Fed has been very clear that they're going to go out and try to be aggressive up front earlier on over the next couple meetings, as opposed to waiting later in the year. And so I think that this doesn't directly affect their plan. Their plan is, they're going to go out and raise interest rates probably by another 75 basis points at their next meeting. I do think that what's probably concerning for folks who are at the Fed is just looking at the extent to which prices, not only of food and energy, but also of those core goods continue to rise.
Now, the prices in the country have been rising steadily since late last year. There are many causes to this inflation. First, there was supply chain disruption from the COVID-19 pandemic. The war in Ukraine has also pushed up commodity prices globally. Some economists have also blamed U.S. President Joe Biden's COVID spending programs for worsening price hikes in the country. In total, it deployed $5 trillion worth of stimulus to shield households and businesses from the economic shock of the pandemic. The report also said that food and housing prices also rose in June, as did car prices. Though the rate has stabilized or slowed from the past 1 month. Even so, the big jump has left U.S. President Joe Biden open to intense criticism from both the Republican Party and the public. Biden, however, insisted that tackling inflation was the top priority. To that end, the president is in West Asia this week. He will visit Saudi Arabia on Saturday and is expected to push the oil-producing country to increase production and lower prices. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund's managing director has said that the global economic outlook has darkened significantly, and he has further warned that the situation could worsen further. The warning comes just months after the IMF cut its global growth forecast for 2022 and 2023. The head of the IMF has said that it will downgrade its expectations for global economic growth this month from April estimate of 3.6%. In fact, Canada became the latest major central bank to increase interest rates. On Wednesday, it raised its main rate from 1.5% to 2.5%, all in a bid to tackle inflation that has risen to 7.7% in the country as well.
I want to explain to Canadians why we took this decision. There are three key considerations. First, inflation is too high, and more people are getting more worried that high inflation is here to stay. We cannot let that happen. Restoring price stability, low, stable, and predictable inflation is paramount. Second, the Canadian economy is overheated. There are shortages of workers and of many goods and services. Demand needs to slow so supply can catch up and price pressures ease.
And the move makes it the first G7 central bank to increase rates by 100 basis points. In this cycle, high inflation and rising borrowing costs are stoking fears of a recession by early next year. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Listen in.
Rising prices for food, gas, and rent cause U.S. inflation to surge to a new 4-decade high, squeezing household budgets, but also putting the pressure on the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates once again as talks of a recession become more serious with each passing day. The government consumer price index soared 9.1% over the past year, much higher than Wall Street had anticipated. And as consumer confidence in the economy continues to decline, so does President Joe Biden's poll numbers, as Democrats are concerned how voters will see these numbers leading up to the November midterm elections. After all, inflation continues to be America's #1 concern. Still, some economists are optimistic, saying that perhaps inflation has already reached its peak. For example, gas prices in mid-June were $5 a gallon. On Wednesday, they were $4.63. Still a lot higher than last year, but lower than mid-June. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION. World is One.